All right, welcome to another episode of Learning Stories. This is an audio and video show where we interview a diverse set of learners from the 21st century. On each episode of this show, we interview a guest who has a story to share about how they acquired a set of skills and knowledge in a creative and innovative manner. In the process, we hope to uncover a new understanding of learning as conceptualized, imagined, and narrated by the guest in our show. What do we learn? How do we learn? And how do we apply what we learn in the real world? These were some of the questions I wanted to answer when I started this podcast, but I realized that learning takes so many different forms in the real world. An engineer learns in a different way, a musician learns in a different way. And today I'm here to speak to someone whose work I've admired closely from a distance. He's a friend that I knew a really long time ago, and we reconnected through the internet. A little bit about our guest today. Akshay Menon is a music producer, music composer, and a pianist. Music, according to him, has the power to transport us to another time and place. Akshay loves to harness that power with a broad audience of fellow music lovers and passionate musicians alike. And he has found great joy and satisfaction in making music and sharing it with fans and people all over the world. He has produced music for over 200 ads and innumerable music productions, including films, YouTube videos, music videos, and more. Apart from being in the studio producing music, he's also a trained pianist and has performed in over 15 countries. I will be linking Akshay's YouTube channel and website in the show notes. So after this interview, I do hope you get a chance to listen to some of his music. I spent the last week listening to his music, and I truly believe he is a very talented music producer and pianist, and he's producing some amazing original music. And today we're here to learn a little bit about his journey and how he got to where he is today. So Akshay, thank you for making time for this. I really appreciate it. I know,
Thank
you
you for
just
the awesome introduction, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
that's so
Good to
sweet.
connect
Actually,
after long.
yeah, and I picked this up from your website as well, Akshay. And whenever I start this podcast, the first thing I normally ask my guests is, tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was Akshay like as a student at school? Like, were you always interested in music? Who first inspired you to get into music? And, what was your life in school like?
Yeah, I mean, so me and you, both of us have had very unique childhoods compared to the others here in India because we've grown up in a very, very, very unique country, which is our good old Bahrain. And life was very different and very simple, very beautiful. My childhood was amazing. And music is something that came to me, I mean, when I was very small, maybe 4 or 5 years old. My mom got a gift from her boss, a small keyboard with lights on it. And I started fidgeting with that, had a lot of fun. And then slowly, my interest increased. And then we got a keyboard teacher for me back in Bahrain. And slowly I got a bigger keyboard and started learning, but it was never anything that was very serious at that point of time. In fact, all throughout school, it was just something that I used to have fun doing. I used to have friends over. We used to jam. We used to have fun. Like, that's what it was about. Music was fun at that point of time. And yeah, I mean, I just took it seriously after schooling, after I came back to India.
Interesting. And was it always the piano, Akshay, or like you considered the guitar or any other instrument? Like, why the
Uh,
piano in
it
particular?
was it was always the keyboard because keyboard piano because that's what I started doing. And when you start an instrument at an early age, um, there is something that you develop in those early ages which you can't develop later. It's very difficult. You can develop, but it's very difficult. When you're young and you pick up a skill, that skill sort of remains with you. You know what I'm saying? So
And that's true, yeah. And like, what kind of music would you listen to, Akshay? Like, I'm curious, like, because I grew up listening to Bollywood music, I feel like I don't have, you know, when someone asks me what music I like, it's
yeah,
normally Bollywood music or some Western band. So, what was your musical
yeah.
influence like, listener?
Well, when I was young, it was definitely Bollywood music. I used to listen to Arabic music also, and the Bollywood music of early 2000s, of 90s, kind of stuff has really inspired me. A.R. Rahman, Shankar Ehsaan Loy, the likes of them, and the other composers in that era. Also, Another composer who has really influenced my career is Yanni. Like in my initial years, I used to try and replicate his tones and his style of composing, style of playing. And as you grow older and you grow with music, your music tastes evolve. So right now I'm in a space of listening to Western classical music, Indian classical music. So this kind of stuff has intrigued me more as I've grown older.
Yeah, because I'm always like, because I have a background in education, Akshay, but I'm just curious, like when you learn music, like is there a process that you go through where in the start you are just listening and picking up new skills? So how do you learn how to play the piano? Like if you can break it down, like when you first started learning how to play the keyboard,
I think
you have
the most important thing, see, there are many classes, lots of syllabus, lots of you can go the academic way. You can learn piano and keyboard the academic way. You can learn it properly. There are grades and post grades. There are higher studies. Uh, s- so all that is there. The structure is right there. It's a very old instrument. So a lot of work has been done over hundreds of years
yeah.
on the keyboard. So the most important thing is to have interest actually. If you enjoy doing it, if you enjoy the process of playing your instrument, you're not burdened by, oh, I have to sit because there's an exam, right? You're passionate and you're having fun doing it. I think you can learn it. There's plenty
Yeah.
of teachers out there. You can start from anywhere. You can just start fidgeting on your own. I think that's very important. You have to explore and you have to have fun doing that. That's
Yeah.
pretty much how I started.
Yeah, because when I learned the guitar, I was put in some class and I felt like it was too academic and I didn't really enjoy playing music.
Exactly.
And I feel like in your website you mentioned that music can transport you to another place. I
Yeah,
genuinely believe that music has the power to help us connect with each other, and help
absolutely.
us tell stories. Like,
Absolutely.
like, can you tell me, like, why do this is more of a general philosophical question, but I'm
Yeah.
curious about your thoughts. Like, why do humans produce music? Like over generations, what do you think is the purpose for humans to produce music?
So there's this composer called Johann Sebastian Bach who I've been following. Not as much, but I've been into that kind of music the last few years. He usually makes Western classical music, and he had written a line in his language, but in English, I'll just translate it. He had said that music is for recreation of the human mind and for the worship of God.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is
that's
what this is the purpose of music.
that's true, right? And
I
like,
kind of believe that also.
yeah, like sometimes I think you forget because you are very technically proficient, right? But I
Yeah,
think when I've seen you playing music, I feel like I notice that you're always happy and smiling. You're not too stressed, and
yeah,
I feel
ex-
like that is very joyful. Like you're creating out of a space of joy, not out of fear
exactly.
or
That's very
com.
important. Yeah. I mean, the whole reason I got into music was that I didn't want to do something that I didn't like in my life. Because
Yeah.
this is what I get up and do this. I make music, I play live, and this is what I like doing. Like, so that's the reason I got into it. So pretty grateful about that.
That's amazing. Like, so I know you were in Bahrain till a particular grade, and then
Yeah.
you moved to Mumbai. So, did you decide to study music at university, Akshay? And how did you move from learning music at school to actually doing it full time? Was there a course you did, and like, what was your journey there?
So my journey very interesting. I moved to Bombay after I completed my 10th in Bahrain.
Okay.
Um, and in Bahrain, I already done a little bit of basic keyboard studies, and I had an idea. I was here in Bombay. I got into this really good college. It's called Mitibai. You must
Hmm.
know it's a famous college, and
Yeah.
it was known for art and it was known for music, for acting, for direction. Like a lot of good. And so my circle there was everybody were creative people, artists, and everybody aspiring to get into that space. So
Hmm.
that's one place where I got inspired from. And second is my guru who has taught me the instrument from India. His name is Chitti Pillai. He's a very senior pianist in the industry. He's worked with Shankar Ehsaan Loy, with even with R.D. Burman. So he's the one who actually sparked my interest. And he was such a teacher. He made the class very enjoyable. There was no pressure. There was no pressure on finishing something or doing this or giving an exam. It was all about having fun. I used to spend an hour with him every week and just enjoy playing my instrument. Explore. He was very open to it.
So, like, for an hour every week over 2 years, was that like what you normally do in
Yeah,
terms of?
those are the classes, and then he would give you some sort of homework and come home and do. So that's
Wow.
what sparked my interest. There was no pressure from him, so that really helped me. I was just having fun on the piano. It's the first time I ever saw an acoustic piano in his house. It's a different experience to play on that. And till then, I had only played the keyboard, the electronic keyboard. But he had a proper acoustic piano.
Like after 12th, Akshay, did you decide to just pursue music full time, or did you do like a university course, like in another subject
Yeah,
and
so I did my graduation. I did my BCom from college because that was mandatory, right?
Yeah.
But pretty much after my 12th grade, I had decided that no, I need to get into music, to sort of make my career here, explore my options. So in fact, I had started working already from my first year of BCom. I had started working as a musician outside, picking up projects, that kind of stuff.
It was probably like an easy, it was not a too stressful initiation into the field, right? If you directly had, completely put yourself in a situation where you had to make money immediately, I think it
Yeah,
would be a lot more difficult.
exactly. No, no, no. So I had no obligation to make money as such.
Yeah.
I used to spend a lot of time jamming with my friends. In fact, all day we used to spend with our instruments and just play and just be creative,
Yeah.
make new things, make new melodies, make new rhythms. So we used to have fun basically. It was a lot of fun. Then after 12th, of course, I started thinking that okay, now if I have to get into this, I have to make money out of this, and I have to make a living out of music. So slowly, I made my plans and strategies on how to get into the scene. What other what is the scope? Where are the requirements of music producers and musicians and composers? So
Yeah, like so
yeah,
how like I'm thinking about this from someone that was in your situation right
yeah,
now. Let's say they're just finishing, they're in their first or second year of college, and they
yeah,
want, they've been training in music for a long time.
yeah.
Like, what do you think they should do? What did you do at that point to, like, convert this into an actual possible job?
So there's a very important stage in my life came when I was in my 11th or 12th, when my sir himself, Chitti Pillai, he showed me that you can make music through a computer.
Hmm.
And this is way back when music production was not even a trend. I'm talking about 2010, 2011, where music production was not that popular among people. And he showed me that you could actually make music through a computer. You could record stuff and you could re-record, you could edit, you could cut, you could produce different kinds of music, different kinds of sounds. So that took me from the 88 keys of the piano. It changed my perspective completely.
Hmm.
Took me into like the world of computers and how do I make production, like how do I make music through a computer. And then I started analyzing that what scope does this field have, like how do people use computers to make music and make a living out of it. Then I figured, oh, the music that you hear in films, the music that you hear in ads, or those kind of things, it's all made on a computer. Or songs in today's day, it's at least I would say 70 to 80% produced, and then we do live 20-30%.
Wow.
that
Wow.
that really sparked my interest.
Very. Like, I think it's fascinating how you were self-directing all your learning, Akshay. Like not, no one was like sort of pushing you, but you were finding a path and creating it for yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
pretty much, because it's a very unique career to have. Also,
yeah,
you won't see a lot of people getting into something like this. Where my friends back in college were all doing CA or
yeah.
CS, right? So I thought maybe why not try something different out of the box?
Like, but do you think like technology helped a little, Akshay? Because, like I know 30 years ago, let's say we didn't have like, streaming services, YouTube,
Yeah,
and these software tools to produce and listen to music. And a lot of people take this for granted, but not everyone had such wide access to music, on the click of a button in an app. So do you
yes,
think that has helped you become more competent or
yeah,
like,
definitely. Technology plays a major part in our life as music
yeah.
producers. I mean, the way um, our software has developed, the way new sound has come in, and sampling, and all these things have really changed our lives. Actually, really changed our lives as music producers.
Yeah, because I saw this post you put up on Facebook where there were over 150,000 streams of some of the music you put out on Spotify. I'm like, that kind of audience for a musician would be quite massive, like 50,
Yeah,
60 years from now. But as
yeah,
an independent musician, you're able to reach so many people. It's pretty amazing.
yeah. I mean, I never thought that I'll make music and people will actually go and hear. So many people will stream my music. It's just about putting out something very honestly and
Yeah.
with a lot of sincerity, and be as authentic as possible in what you want to express. So, yeah, I think
Yeah, like
somewhere the universe will reward you at some point for your efforts.
very true. Like, I want to discuss a little bit about your first professional experience, Akshay. I know it's been some time. It's been like 10, 12 years you've been in the industry now. So, like
Yeah.
the first few years, what were the first music projects you worked on, and what was your experience, creating music there?
So in the first few years, obviously, I would just take up anything that came my way. Uh, I would do devotional songs, uh, which were really beautiful. They're huge part of my learning process. I still work on a lot of devotional music, and I also got into serials. So I used to produce. I produced a few episodes of Savdhan India. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
It's a famous serial. Back in the day, maybe 10, 12 years or more, 2012, 13 ki baat hai. So that's how I started my journey, and got into writing music for serials, got into writing music for independent singers who want to just put up their music on YouTube. Uh, yeah, that kind of stuff, and devotional stuff. Started producing for people, like that kind of stuff.
And like, was
All
there
kinds of
like,
music, no genre. I was
yeah,
not limited to any genre, because Bollywood and Indian music is like that.
yeah,
Indian music is what? It's fusion. We fuse everything. It's a rock based song, and then there's electronic music happening behind, or there's jazz happening behind. So
that's true. Yeah.
it's,
Like,
yeah,
were you like for someone that wants to know the financial aspect of this, actually, for a new music producer and composer, like how do they charge their clients and how do they set up a financial sort of transaction, because this is your time and your effort as well. So
yeah.
like what do you recommend in terms of like the costing structure for someone listening and curious about this?
See, costing also depends on your branding,
Yeah,
what kind of work you've done in the past. But for someone who's just starting off, I think more than talking about costing, the person should start working first. Like, just
yeah,
get your music out there. Let people notice your music. You should get calls after that. That this music was nice. Now make for me something like that. So then you can charge whatever X amount it may be. But initially, for beginners, I would suggest them to work as much as possible, get exposure as much as possible.
yeah, because I think over time, I guess your portfolio speaks for you, and you can like the money comes in over time, right? But
Exactly, money comes in. Money is not an issue actually. Money is not an issue, as a lot of people would say in this industry that it's inconsistent. It's this, it's that. But I feel if you are delivering good quality, work just comes. It just comes.
and like actually you worked with some amazing musicians. I'm looking at your channel and the videos like Siddharth Menon,
Yeah,
Neeti Mohan, Rahul Vaidya, Anvesha, Purnima Solanki. There's so many musicians that you worked with, and you've put out work with. So can you
yeah.
tell me a few things you've learned from, and even Amal Malik? And I know like you've created composed the music for a song called Sab Tera on YouTube that has hundreds of millions of views.
That's
Like
Amal's composition, and I have basically designed the arrangement of the song, in the sense the rhythm, the music pieces, the sound design. That's what I had done for that song, and that composition particularly was Amal's.
got it. I'm so sorry. Like I
Yeah,
didn't know
that's
that.
okay. That's okay. I just thought I'd.
Yeah. Like actually, can you tell me something you've learned from each one of them? Like as artists, what were some lessons you picked up while working with these musicians and
So let
artists?
me speak about a very important personality in my life. Her name is Neeti Mohan.
Yeah.
I have been associated with Neeti for maybe 10 years now, almost a decade. I started off my live uh, keyboard career with Neeti, playing with her in Bollywood shows, and so got to learn a lot, because when you play live, you play with other musicians, you play with different. So you as a music producer, you're not just listening to your own instrument, you're listening to the other instruments also. So I got to learn a lot from her and her work ethic. Um, Extremely hardworking, dedicated. Um, Siddharth, okay, yes, Siddharth also. I mean, he's like my elder brother. We connected about 6 7 years back, and we stay in the same area in Bombay. So we just thought we'll work on some stuff. Then we released this series of covers called Rubaru, which really picked up in Kerala. It became really famous, and then Siddharth also, again, a person who's extremely dedicated to his craft,
Yeah.
and
Like,
he's a singer who has not learned, by the way, self-learned.
yeah, and he's also like the founder
Possible.
of
It's unbelievable to know that he
yeah.
can sing that way, or he can grasp a tune uh, without any guidance from anyone. Like it's pure dedication, man.
And he was previously a member of Taikudum Bridge as well.
Akram Bridge. Yes, yes.
I think it's this amazing band from Kerala that.
Amazing. Incredible stuff. Yeah,
And I know he was like a core founding member of that band, and now he's producing and composing and singing independently. But
yeah.
I love Taikudum Bridges' music, so I think it's amazing that and I know he like the I think the beauty of your music, Akshay, is that you also produce in so many languages. You do Hindi, English, and recently you are producing for the film called Usi Pinte Osi Yatam. Am I saying that right?
So Penda was here. Yeah.
And that's coming out on 7th March, 2020. Oh, it's already out. Yes. So can you tell me a little bit about working on that project,
Oh,
Akshay?
that's a beautiful project. It's in the thriller family drama sort of a genre. You can put it in the Drishyam kind of space, but not exactly that. It's a very unique film, and there's the creative producer of this film, Mr. Abraham Cherian. He got in touch with me to get into the project, and I got to meet the director, whose name is Sharad Chandran. So his brief was very very interesting, and something that I've never come across before in my career. He told me that the music should be such that it should come and go, and nobody should realize it should be a part of the SFX. So that was very intriguing. Then in fact, I spent maybe a month only researching about how I'm supposed to score this film, to to make strategies on how to do the music for this film. So we make character themes, right? We make character themes for different actors, different scenes. So a lot of work has gone into that. But it was a very fulfilling experience. Very fulfilling.
And like how is it different, Akshay, working on a film project and an ad project? Can you tell me like some differences, like an ad and a
So in
film?
ads, you have less time. That's the thing. Within 30 seconds or within 60 seconds, you have to crack a music piece or a hook line that remains in a person's mind. So within 30 seconds, you have like maybe sometimes even 15 seconds, right? It's that's the major difference. You have to
And
crack
in
it. In ads, you have to crack it. In films, you can build up things. You have time, build up themes. You can bring it right to the climax in the end. Can be a huge crescendo, but in ads, you need to have what you call as motif. Motif means a small phrase which is
yeah,
very catchy.
very, very interesting. Yeah, and like, can you break down some of these terms for me, Akshay? Like, when you're composing a song, like, how
Yep.
do you structure it in your mind? Like, because I don't know too much about music, and
Yep.
like, I know from when you're writing lyrics, you have the verse, you have the bridge. So that's like the written part. But is there a similar structure in like the tune and the music in the background?
No structure, bro. No structure at all. In fact, I do not work with any template.
Uh,
Every project that I open is one big blank slate. Nothing is there
uh,
except for like the audio file of the singer. Today's day, the way I think of it is you have to capture the attention of the audience,
hmm,
right? So the attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So I can't have a long intro to a song. I need to
yeah,
have a very small one, and that has to be a very catchy one. So that's how I think of it. Like you have to make very catchy pieces of music or a catchy sound. If you hear a song, the person will listen to it for maximum 30 seconds, right? If you don't like the song, you're going to skip it. There's too many options in today's day. So
yeah,
that's how we think as music producers. I mean, I think of the wider spectrum.
yeah, yeah.
That if
Makes
if,
sense.
if a common man has to listen to my song, if my neighbor suppose has to hear it, if he likes the first 15 to 20 or 15 to 30 seconds, then he'll listen to the song ahead.
Yeah,
Otherwise, he's not going to go ahead. So this is something that always is in our minds, to make
very
music that is catchy and that just holds onto the minds of the
Yeah,
listener.
yeah, and like actually, you have an amazing website, and I know you put music out on YouTube, and like for a new musician, is that something you'd recommend creating like a personal website and like a space to release their music
Yeah,
on the internet?
surely, but for a new when a composer or a music producer is just starting off his career, I do not recommend branding and marketing. I do not, because you know before you enter the industry, you should have some sort of experience. At least you should have worked for 2 to 3 years, and you get a fair idea of your own sound. Like you have to find your own voice, because
Yeah,
there's so much of music that's put out there. Your music, how is it going to be different from somebody else? It just sounds
yeah,
like any other song. It does not make sense. So I would recommend any young music producer first learn, develop your skill to a certain level,
yeah,
then start branding, marketing, website, these kind of things. Today's
got
day,
it.
it's very easy, man, because 10, 12 years back when I had started off, we used to make calls to people for work, because we didn't know how to do things. Today there's social media. You just put something awesome on Instagram, somebody from somewhere catches that and sends you work,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
not difficult to connect from people. And at that point of time, we only had Bollywood to look forward to.
yeah,
Today there is so many industries, so many different industries, independent, Bollywood, South, North. It's and even internationally. Like I'm doing a little bit of work in the Gulf as well. I'm doing some Arabic songs. So
uh,
that's something really new for me. So you don't limit yourself to one thing. There's so many
that
things. But yeah, I'll come back to your question. Branding and website and marketing, these kind of things. Um, my advice would be to wait and spend 2 to 3 years readying yourself. Once you
yeah,
feel you are at a certain level of production, then you can go ahead.
that's excellent. That's great advice, actually. And like for someone that's just looking at this from the outside, and
Yeah,
like Bollywood or like the Hindi film industry has a lot of composers, and I think in India we have a tradition of great composers from different parts of the country, whether it's the Malayalam film industry, the Tamil film industry,
yeah,
the Hindi film industry.
yeah,
So could you tell me about, and this is just to understand how to see how music has evolved. If you could tell me the stories of one or two composers in some of these industries and tell me why you think, their evolution as a composer is
yeah,
very creative and interesting to observe. Like, what did you observe? Like Shankar Ehsaan Loy, for instance,
yeah,
like how they observed from the how they evolved from the
yeah,
early 2000s to now. So, like, just
yeah.
your observations.
Shankar Ehsaan Loy. I mean, I all three of them are big time geniuses. Like they are,
Yeah,
their music is unparalleled. And so when most of these composers started off back in the 90s, uh, the best part about all the major composers, be it Shankar Ehsaan, be it A.R. Rahman, be it Preetham, be it Vishal Shekhar, these guys have evolved over time, and they're not they don't they're not outdated. They're
yeah,
always evolving, changing their sound according to the trend, the genre that is prevalent at this point of time.
yeah.
At the same time, keeping their own sound and their own style in their songs. I
Hmm.
think this is what makes them successful.
Yeah, because I feel like when you say some of these names, I think I have a memory of what their songs sound like. Like Shankar Ehsaan Loy, I feel like it's the romantic, the Kal Ho Na Ho, like
Yeah,
upbeat sort of music. Pritham, I think I've and this is only a personal association. I may have not listened to all of their music. I feel like Vishal Shekhar, they have a more upbeat dance Bollywood,
yeah,
sort of vibe. And Pritham, I think,
yeah,
has a mix of both these worlds. He creates great, uh, calm music, but also great, like faster music. Like
yeah.
so,
And they have the ability to change themselves, their sound, according to times.
yeah,
That's quite an insane ability. In fact, I know one. There's a music producer. His name is Jackie Vanjari. I followed a lot since I had started off my music, and he's a very senior music producer. He produced some of the top tracks in Bollywood, and his you're talking about this evolving of music producer. He's a perfect example of that, because this man, he played accordion, live accordion in R.D. Burman songs. He's done live for Anu Malik, and just 5 7 years back he used to produce dubstep.
wow,
And now he's into electronic music.
yeah,
So if you see the evolution of someone, a keyboardist playing harmonium and accordion back in the 90s 80s, to now producing electronic music and dubstep, the same guy. Now that's a serious evolution, I would say.
true, yeah. And like it seems like one of the character traits of a good composer and producer and musician is that they have to be very flexible and adaptable based on the audience they're producing their music for. Right? I feel
Yeah,
like
absolutely, absolutely. It's
because
it's very important to put yourself into the music. You know what I mean? Like every composer, every human being has its own style. So
yeah,
that style has to come out, but that has to be fused very smartly into the sound that is prevalent.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
For the thanks, Akshay. Like I think I've learned so much, and I think for the listeners tuning in, what I would recommend is that you do follow Akshay on social media, on Instagram and other handles. His YouTube channel and website has some music. I think his website is really updated with his latest music and projects. I spent a lot of time, listening to his music this week. And for the last question, Akshay, I just wanted you to maybe tell me a little bit about your favorite composers and artists over time that you go back to again and again. Like if you could give me three or four recommendations and one thing you liked about this particular artist or composer.
as we had this conversation in the beginning of the podcast,
Mm.
my preferences have also evolved over time. I've listened to a lot of different kind of music, so it's very difficult, bro, to just have three artists or something
I
like
think
that. But if you talk about film music and Indian film music, definitely the guys are out there. Yeah, Rahman and the likes, Rhythm, these guys. But I've been listening to a lot of Brahms and Bach, Chopin, this kind of music, Western classical music, because I feel the emotional depth is a lot in that kind of music. So yeah, these are the guys I've been listening to actually.
wonderful, wonderful. That's amazing, Akshay. Thanks again for making time for this, Akshay. And
Thanks, man.
you know,
Thanks for
I
taking
really
me on board. It
appreciate
was
your.
nice to connect with you after a long time.
I completely agree, and I hope to. I mean, I follow your music as a fan, and I think I will continue to do
Thank
that.
you
But
so much.
for the listeners tuning in, stay tuned for more such stories. And until next time, keep learning.